This video demonstrates new cybersecurity enhancements made to SCADAPack flow computers and Realflo software. If you are watching this video, it is perhaps because you have read the label notification on your new SCADAPack, or you have attempted to connect to a new SCADAPack flow computer with Realflo version 6.96 or older and have received this message saying the flow computer is locked. And if you try to override the lock using the existing locking commands in Realflo, you would also be blocked and presented with this message. This video will demonstrate how to resolve this issue and, more importantly, how to manage security locking on your new SCADAPack flow computer. But first, let me explain what this message means and the purpose of the new package label. Schneider Electric believes cybersecurity is critical in today's connected world. As such, we have added new mechanisms to our products to improve their cybersecurity capabilities. This includes the SCADAPack because cybersecurity is relevant to all IP-based or IP-routable devices. As of January 1st, 2020, SCADAPack flow computers now ship with a cybersecurity feature that requires initial configuration before the hardware can be used. As a result of the addition of the cybersecurity feature, customers receiving new SCADAPack flow computers will also need to obtain updated tools in order to apply device configuration. A label highlighting this requirement has been attached to the SCADAPack packaging. Included on the label is the following list of software tools that have been updated to support the cybersecurity enhancements. And this includes the Realflo configuration software that runs on your PC. To unlock your SCADAPack and resolve this issue, you will need to update the version of your Realflo configuration software to 7.0.2 or newer. As you may have discovered, older versions of the Realflo software will not be able to configure new SCADAPacks equipped with a cybersecurity feature. Contact your local support team or the following email to obtain the Realflo configuration software update. Once your PC is updated to Realflo 7.0.2 or newer, you will have three choices for managing the security lock on your new SCADAPack. Option 1 is to disable the security lock feature. And if the security lock is desired in the future, a cold boot or service boot will re-enable it. Option 2, to apply the security lock with a password of your choice. And option 3, to downgrade the controller's firmware to remove security locking altogether. Now, typically, we want to begin with option 1 to disable the security lock because we will need to have the controller unlocked in order to edit and write configuration changes to it. You may choose option 2 to apply the security lock later, after all configuration is completed and the device is placed in the field. The security lock blocks all configuration commands, but protocol access is not blocked for communications with other devices or with the SCADA host. We will discuss option 3 later. Let's begin with option 1. How to disable the security lock. Note that the device must be unlocked or lock feature disabled in order to edit or write configuration changes to it. This option will disable the requirement for a security lock password. A cold boot or service boot is needed to re-enable the security lock. And if you have other SCADAPacks on your network that use firmware without the cybersecurity feature, this feature will set the new SCADAPack to operate like your existing SCADAPacks. Using Realflo version 7.0.2 or newer, I'll demonstrate now how to disable the security lock. So with a new SCADAPack flow computer connected, if I select any command, such as the flow computer information, it says that the device is locked and that it requires me to go to the device lock menu. So going to the device lock menu, I have the two options here of disabling the password or applying a password. So I simply select to disable it. And then the reminder message says that if I wish to re-enable it in the future, I'll need to do a cold boot or service boot. So now selecting any command, it's now connected and running. And if I go to the device lock, again, it will remind me with the same message if I want to re-enable this in the future. Now that the locking is disabled, here's some items that you should be aware of when working with a device with the locking disabled. In the future, if you need to cold boot your controller, note that the security lock will be reactivated and you'll need to disable locking again, just as we were shown. If you have users in your organization that intend to remain using Realflo 6.96 or older, then disabling the security lock will allow these users to continue to configure the RTU without issue. However, if one of these users needs to cold boot the controller, the security lock will be reactivated, and only Realflo 7.0.2 or newer can disable locking at this point. All the more reason to have all Realflo users update their PCs with the latest version. So how would I re-enable security lock in the future? Well, if I select the device lock command in Realflo, when it's disabled, it says I don't require a password, and if I want to add one in the future, I need to cold boot or service boot. So if I cold boot the controller, security lock will be reactivated automatically. And if I select any command, it'll say it's locked, and it tells me to go to the device lock menu to unlock it. So that's this dialog here, which we've seen already, and we would select the device does not require a password, or we would lock it. Now, a cold boot does erase the controller data, so that's a bit severe in order to just turn on the security lock again. There's another option, and it's the service boot. So in service boot, we're given two options. When we go to the device lock command, it says, do you want to continue without the password, or do you want to reinitialize device locking? If we select initialize device lock, then the device lock command becomes this familiar one, just like previously. The advantage of the service boot is that it retains your controller's data. Remember then to finish with a power cycle so that we execute the run boot that runs the flow computer again with the desired configuration. Let's look at option 2, applying the security lock password. We'll do that directly in Realflo. So in Realflo, if I select any command, I have the message here that the device is locked from a cold boot or from just reinitializing it, as we saw in the previous slide. And I'm to go to the device lock to unlock it. Again, I'm using Realflo 7.0.2 or newer, and I'll select the device lock command. So here I want to use the dialog to enter a password to associate with the security lock. If the dialog doesn't look like this one, you'll need to cold boot or reinitialize the security locking. So I'll enter a password here. It needs to be 8 characters or longer. Okay, it has been successfully applied. Now selecting any command. Now it's locked, but this time the difference is I know the password. So in order to interact with the flow computer, I first need to unlock it by entering the password. And now I'm free to edit my flow computer or monitor it or do any maintenance actions. For example, I'll update readings. So this would be the same if I wanted to read or write to the flow computer. And note that when we do lock the controller, It's locked against configuration commands. Protocol access is not blocked for communication with other devices or with the SCADA host. So when I'm finished, I'll relock the controller with the password. And now the device is locked against configuration and remains secure. Summarizing how to work with a password-locked flow computer. Whenever you need to use Realflo to communicate with the controller and it's locked, you must first unlock the controller by entering your password on the device lock dialog. Then you can execute any Realflo commands that communicate with the controller, whether that's to read or write configuration, update readings, or read the logs or the history. Then when you're finished, you would relock the controller using the device lock dialog again to secure it. Note that locking blocks only the configuration commands, not protocols that access from the SCADA host or peer devices. Let's look at the last option now. Remove the cybersecurity feature from being enabled on the SCADAPack in the future. Replace the controller firmware with the last version before security locking was introduced for your controller type. Note, though, that this option may be helpful in the short term, but downgrading firmware means you're choosing not to take advantage of any improvements, fixes, or new features associated with maintaining up-to-date firmware.